I'm sure, as you could tell by the title of the video, we gonna be debunking the Out of Africa theory. I'm sure most people already know about the Out of Africa theory, which is the theory that modern humans originated in Africa sometime between 100,000 and 200,000 years ago. I'll be using books, articles, and archaeological researches to prove my point. But first, let's talk about what the Out of Africa theory actually is. First source we're looking at is from nature.com, and as you can see, it says this page has been archived and is no longer updated. I wonder why. Out of Africa versus the multi-regional hypothesis. Broadly speaking, there are two competing hypotheses on the origin of modern humans: the Out of Africa hypothesis and the multi-regional hypothesis. Both agree that Homo erectus originated in Africa and expanded to Eurasia about 1 million years ago, but they differ in explaining the origin of modern humans. We gonna be focusing on the Out of Africa and not the multi-regional. The first hypothesis proposes that a second migration out of Africa happened about 100,000 years ago, in which anatomically modern humans of African origin conquered the world by completely replacing archaic human populations. Now, the easiest way to debunk this is to find modern humans outside of Africa before 100,000 years ago, or to find the work of modern humans before 100,000 years ago. Now, Louis Agassiz was a Swiss-born American biologist and geologist who is recognized as a scholar of Earth's natural history. Now, he also believes that America is the oldest continent, but he believes that America was peopled later rather than earlier. If America had the first inhabitable Earth, it would have been wise to believe, in my opinion, that it would have been the first to produce the conditions for human life. That's just my opinion, though. Now let's talk about an archaeological site in Mexico that's worthy of being deemed the world's known oldest archaeological site to date. And the site is called Hueyatlaco. This is from the Earth and Planetary Science Letters of July 1969. It's a volume 6, issue 4. Dilemma posed by uranium series dates on archaeologically significant bones from Vasquillo, Puebla, Mexico. In an attempt to date stone artifacts of early man excavated from several sites at the Vasquillo Reservoir, a few kilometers south of Puebla, Mexico, Sosbo applied the uranium series method on bone samples known to be either from the same geologic formation as the sites or in direct association with the artifacts. The geologic context of the bones was studied by Maud, and the archaeological sites were excavated by Irwin Williams. A date determined for bone associated with an artifact agrees with the radiocarbon date for fossil mollusks in the same bed and indicates man presence more than 20,000 years ago. Note that they didn't say at least, they said more than 20,000 years ago. However, some of these bone dates exceed 200,000 years. Because such dates for man in North America conflict with all prior archaeological evidence here and abroad, we are confronted by a dilemma, either to defend the dates against an onslaught of archaeological thought, or to abandon the uranium method in this application as being so much wasted effort. So they were saying that these bones are so old that they conflict with all current and prior knowledge. In other words, it challenged the Out of Africa theory. They even thought about abandoning the uranium dating method. The next article I'll show will prove that they weren't wrong, because they studied this all the way up until 2010 and they got the same results. So we're just going to be looking at this to see if newer technology and newer methods changed the dating for Hueyatlaco. And as you can see, the source is paleoelectronica.org. It says, we review the history of investigations at the Vasquillo archaeological area south of Puebla, Mexico from the early 1960s to 2010. Evidence from the diatoms, HE measurements, earlier uranium series dates, later zircon fission track dates, mineral weathering, tephra hydration dates, and vertebrate fossils imply that the principal archaeological site, Hueyatlaco, could be older than 250,000 years. Weilako rests uncomfortably on Zalnine Tuff, dated at 1.3 mega-annum, or million years, by whole rock argon analysis. This finding differs greatly from a recent interpretation that the site is 40,000 years old. Now that we have an idea on what they were looking for and the methods being used, let's skip down to the conclusion and see what they came up with. Diatone correlations, isotopic dates, stratigraphy, tetrahydration rates, mineral weathering, and vertebrate paleontology all suggest that the sediments exposed at the Weilako archaeological site, as well as bones from butchered animals found both at Weilako and at the nearby El Horno site, are at least 250,000 years old. Now, if the Outer Africa theory was correct, Weilako wouldn't be nearly as old as it is. So before you get the idea that those people that were here hundreds and thousands of years ago are today's Native Americans, or today's Native Americans are the descendants of those people, let me show you this. At the height of the last ice age, glacial ice covered nearly all of Canada and much of Europe and Asia. With much of the Earth's water locked up in ice, sea levels were lowered worldwide about 100 meters. This exposed shallow seabeds off the east coast of North America, as well as a land bridge between Alaska and Siberia in the heart of a region known as Beringia. Beringia remained free of ice because the climate was very dry. Archaeological evidence suggests that the people had spread across Beringia from northeastern Asia into unglaciated portions of Alaska and the Yukon Territory sometime before 18,000 years ago. I'm gonna read you something on that too, because they started to suggest that the first people came to America by boat around 30,000 years ago because there was an ice wall blocking access into America. But here's the real kicker. It says people may have also been living elsewhere in North America south of the glacial ice at this time, an issue that continues to be hotly debated by archaeologists today. And those people south of the ice wall are autochthonous, or aboriginal, and those people are the descendants of the people that were here 250,000 years ago. This is from March 22nd of 2022 from Nature World News. Ancient ice wall might have prevented travel from Asia to the Americas through the Beringia land bridge. Ancient ice walls, in the form of glaciers with a massive size larger than any building on the planet, may have once existed in North America, according to a new study. The ice wall might have prevented travelers from Asia to reach the subcontinent via the Beringia land bridge. The new discovery by archaeologists added to the largely contested and criticized Bering Land Bridge theory, which suggested that the first Americans reached North America when they traveled through the land bridge. However, growing scientific evidence suggested that land travel from the land bridge to North America was impossible during that time. Now, according to this Oxford study, they're saying the earliest Americans arrived in the New World 30,000 years ago by boat. Obviously, because they knew it was impossible to cross the land bridge at that time because there was an ice wall. And you might be asking, if today's Native Americans isn't the first people, then who is? We just gonna have the archaeology speak for itself at this point.